Imagine you wake up one morning and your job is exactly the same as yesterday. Cook the food, clean the floors, stand guard at the door. Except today, your master died. And in the world you live in, that means your life just ended too. Not as a punishment, not as a crime, as an honor. For thousands of years, across Egypt, China, Mesopotamia, and the Americas, when a king died, he didn't go alone. His servants went with him. His soldiers went with him. Sometimes his wives went with him. Buried alive, sealed underground, in the dark, so they could continue serving in the next world exactly as they had in this one. And here is the part that changes everything. Some of them went willingly. In 1922, archaeologist Leonard Woolley began excavating the ancient city of in modern-day Iraq. He expected to find pottery, maybe some jewelry. What he found instead stopped him completely cold. Beneath the royal tombs, there were pits. And inside those pits were bodies. Dozens of them. Soldiers still holding their weapons. Musicians still gripping their instruments. Attendants arranged in neat rows facing the same direction, as if waiting for instructions. 74 people in a single tomb. But here is where it gets genuinely disturbing. The bodies showed no signs of struggle. No broken bones. No defensive wounds. No evidence of force. Woolley found small cups beside each body. They had been given poison. They drank it themselves. Walked down into the pit, lay down in their assigned position, and waited for death to arrive. These people chose this. Why would any human being agree to that? The answer is simpler and darker than you think. These servants had spent their entire lives inside the palace. The king was their entire world. Their food, their shelter, their identity, their purpose, all of it came from him. When he died, what was left? In their minds, death wasn't an ending. It was a transfer. Still serving, still useful, still belonging to something. The afterlife was just another room in the palace. China made this practice an art form. When the first emperor of China, Qin Shi Huang, died in 210 BC, the scale of what happened next was almost impossible to comprehend. Hundreds of workers who had built his tomb were sealed inside it so they could never reveal its location. Concubines who had no children were buried alive to serve him in death. Court officials followed him underground. Archaeologists estimate that thousands of people died to accompany one man into the afterlife. And Qin Shi Huang was considered a civilized ruler by the standards of his time. The practice was everywhere. In ancient Egypt's earliest dynasties, pharaohs were buried with retainers, the word historians use so it sounds less horrifying than what it actually was. In ancient Nubia, kings went to their graves surrounded by sacrificed servants. In West Africa, Dahomey kings brought hundreds of people with them. In ancient Mesoamerica, rulers took their households underground. Across every continent, across thousands of years, the same idea repeated itself. The powerful do not die alone. But then something strange happened. Around 2,000 years ago, the practice began disappearing. Not everywhere at once. Not overnight, but slowly, across civilization after civilization, the decision was made to stop. China switched first. After Qin Shi Huang's tomb, later emperors replaced human servants with terracotta statues. Clay soldiers instead of real ones. The message was the same, only the bodies were different. Nobody wrote down why they stopped. Nobody left a record saying this was wrong. They just quietly decided that clay was enough. And here is the part that should genuinely unsettle you. These servants weren't stupid. They weren't primitive. They weren't brainwashed in the way we comfort ourselves by imagining. Many of them were educated, skilled, talented people. Musicians, craftsmen, soldiers, cooks. They simply lived inside a system so total, so absolute, that dying for the king felt like the most natural thing in the world. They didn't question it because nobody around them questioned it. The most dangerous thing in human history has never been weapons or disease or famine. It has always been the ideas we inherit without examining. The servants who walked into those pits didn't die because they were forced. They died because they believed. And nobody ever told them they had a choice. If you want more stories about how ancient humans actually lived and died, things that will genuinely change how you see the world today, subscribe. New video dropping soon. And trust me, what ancient humans did next is even stranger than this.